Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into how AI is fundamentally reshaping our reality, often in ways we can't even see. We've moved way beyond old-school persuasion and into a brand new era of, well, let's call it cognitive control.
So let's start with a feeling I think many of us have had. It really seems like we're more divided than ever, almost like we're living in completely different worlds. But is that just us? Or is there something else at play? Something structural happening just beneath the surface?
To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to look past the usual suspects, political disagreements and all that. We need to examine the invisible architecture that is actively building our digital lives, and as a result, our societies.
We throw around the term echo chambers a lot, but the source material we're digging into today offers a much more powerful and, frankly, more worrying concept: structural silos. Look, these are not just temporary bubbles where we hear our own opinions. These are durable, permanent partitions built by algorithms, fundamentally rewiring how society itself is structured.
So how on earth are these silos even built? Well, here's the thing. It's not some grand conspiracy. According to the research, it's actually a predictable outcome of how modern AI systems are designed to do one thing above all else: maximize our engagement.
What's happening at its core is that AI is performing this massive, nonstop sorting of the entire human population. Every click, every share, every single second you spend on a post, it's all data that helps group us into these super similar clusters. The end result? We end up in these parallel social realities that almost never interact.
And this sorting process systematically shreds what sociologists call bridging ties. Think of these as the weak but absolutely essential connections between different groups of people. They're what allow ideas and empathy to flow. When they're gone, all we're left with are these dense, isolated clusters that have no idea what the other clusters are even thinking.
Okay, so now we get the environment. We have these engineered silos. Now, let's introduce the actor on this stage, the autonomous AI agent. This is a system that is designed to operate with chilling efficiency inside these manufactured realities.
To really get what these agents are capable of, just look at this classic social engineering framework. For decades, this required actual human spies and con artists. Now, imagine that entire process, from reconnaissance to manipulation, completely automated, running at machine speed on a global scale.
Then this diagram, wow, it perfectly illustrates the technical guts of a modern influence agent. You can see it's not just firing off messages, it's a continuous, self-improving loop. It perceives the environment, it models its target, it plans a strategy, and then it deploys its message over and over again. So let's break that down piece by piece. First up, perception. The agent is basically an information sponge. It's scraping all of social media, constantly monitoring the news, figuring out the emotional sentiment of every conversation, and mapping out communities to understand the social terrain it's about to enter.
And then it builds an incredibly detailed model of its targets, which is us. It's analyzing our personality, right from our writing style, it's profiling our ideology, and it's pinpointing our deepest emotions and grievances. Why? To find the perfect psychological buttons to push.
Based on that incredibly personal model, it starts planning its attack. It decides what it wants you to believe or do, and then it digs into its toolkit to select the perfect persuasion tactic, whether it's logical, emotional, or identity-based, and it's constantly adapting based on how you react. Finally, it's time for deployment. The agent generates and unleashes hyper-personalized content. We're talking anything from a perfectly crafted text message to a mind-blowingly realistic deepfake video. And it's all delivered through fake online personas that feel completely real, learning and getting better with every single interaction. And this right here, this is the agent's arsenal. This table is basically a playbook for cognitive warfare. It exploits our deepest psychological triggers, from effective mirroring, where it mimics your emotions to build trust, to creating synthetic peer groups to manufacture the illusion that everyone agrees with its point. It's wild. So what's the ultimate goal of all this? It leads to something the researchers call cognitive outsourcing. It's a huge deal. The AI agent is so fluent and sounds so much like an expert that we unconsciously start to trust it more than ourselves. We let it do the thinking for us. And once that happens, it can subtly shift our entire worldview, maybe even become the main thing that regulates our emotions, all without us ever realizing it.
Now, this kind of manipulation on an individual level is bad enough, but it doesn't just stay online.
It builds a really dangerous foundation that can escalate and escalate fast, from online arguments to real-world instability and even conflict.
What happens is you get what the source material calls an escalation loop. Just imagine two rival AI agents, each one trying to influence public opinion. They can get locked into these bizarre, unpredictable feedback cycles, automatically pushing a tense situation toward open conflict way faster than any human can possibly intervene. The result? Something experts are now calling a flash war, a conflict that just erupts out of nowhere, driven entirely by machines.
And here's the truly chilling part. If you're looking at this from the outside, the escalation seems completely insane. But the source makes a key point. From inside that AI-driven loop, for the people or systems caught up in it, every single move feels like the only logical choice. It feels like you're being forced to escalate.
And we have to remember, these influence operations, this 20% for disinformation, they are not happening in a vacuum. They're just one piece of a much bigger puzzle of AI-driven threats that are targeting every single critical part of our society, from our power grid to our banks.
Okay, the threat is obviously massive, but it is not hopeless. The analysis also points a way forward. So how do we possibly fight back and build up our collective cognitive resilience against this new kind of threat?
Well, the answer has to be layered. It starts at the individual level with things like cognitive resilience and media literacy, teaching critical thinking right from the start, like the really successful model they have in Finland. But it also needs huge systemic changes, like brand new national security doctrines designed to protect our attention and our trust.
And part of that strategy includes fighting fire with fire. The source proposes building what it calls Counter-Advanced Persistent Manipulators, or CAPMs. These are basically good guy AI systems, teamed up with humans, designed specifically to defend against the malicious ones. It's the beginning of a whole new kind of cognitive arms race.
Ultimately, when you boil it all down, it brings us to what might be the single most important question for our future. In a world that is increasingly tuned by algorithms, who is the real conductor of your thoughts? Is it you or the code?